Welcome to this week's Changelog. My name is Jacob Creech, and I'm joined today by Nick. How are you doing
Hello,
today,
hello.
Nick?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Super excited. Last changelog of the year. Exciting one. We're gonna do a nice little wrap up.
So first off, we're going to jump into commits. One of the commits that we saw this week was a change to the bank. This is so that whenever you do transaction simulation, you can see the compute unit usage on aired instructions. So previously, if you were to do a transaction simulation, you would get a whole bunch of information of your compute unit usage on your transaction, but not for aired instructions. So this is some additional improvements to the developer experience that we'll see at some point once it gets live on mainnet. And then we have, let's see, the SIMD of the week.
Yeah, we've got SIMD 93 this week, which actually disables the BPF loader V1. So it removes one of the instructions from it so that we can, pay down a little bit of tech debt since we're on loader V4 now.
Yeah, nobody else uses the V1 loader anymore. You're on the upgradable on, I think that's what, V2, there's V3,
Mm-hmm.
and the V4 eventually with
Runtime
the
V2.
runtime V2. Yeah, so this is just a semi pretty simple. Hopefully, we'll come to consensus on it pretty quickly, and we can get that in a next release. And then we have resource of the week. I think there is some things from Triton that you wanted to chat about, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always bullish on Triton and Project Yellowstone. So, for those of you who don't know, Project Yellowstone, it's this really big project or really a collection of projects that are all around the Solana RPC layer. So, you've got things like Old Faithful, Whirligig, and each of these individual Geyser plugins, RPC plugins, and things like that. They all have a different purpose, and they're really really cool. You've got Project Old Faithful, which is putting all of the Solana ledger on IPFS. You've got Whirligig, which significantly speeds up RPC connections and responses. And there's some other ones in there. You should check them out. They're super cool.
Yeah, I know Jonas on the developer relations side on our team. He really enjoys
Oh, yeah.
Whirligig for
Whirligig. Jonas
games.
loves Whirligig for games.
Yeah, because it can quickly give you updates. And with games, those quick updates are what matters, getting the responses as fast as possible to the user. And then in general news, we kind of want to give a touch on the developer growth on Solana. So in the past few months, we've seen a lot of people trying out Solana for the first time, learning about Solana and building the first application. So if you're out there and you want to help out, you can try by creating your own content about Solana. For example, if you want to write something about Solana, write about how Turbine works, write about how to do Hello World, go for it. This is how you can help out. If you want to see visually what we were seeing with like new developers on Solana, we're seeing, what is this, like a 200, 300% growth
It's big.
over, yeah, over the last few months. This is the Solana Stack Exchange, and these are new users every week. So what we're seeing is just early September, we're getting like 50 new users asking questions and needing help. Now we're seeing upwards of nearly 200 users every week. And so these people are asking questions on the Solana Stack Exchange. So this is another way that you can help out, is by answering those developers and welcoming into the community. On the note of resources that people can be given if you're just starting out Solana, is we have the Pirate Bootcamp that we wanted to touch on this past year. So in the past year, we created this bootcamp, and it's self-serve. Anybody can go through each of the quests and learn how to be a Solana developer. So if you know a new developer that's joining, if you just want to freshen up on some of the new ways of doing Solana development, try out our Solana Bootcamp and let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, and we've actually got the entirety of the boot camp recorded on the Solana Foundation YouTube channel, and we'll have the link for that in the show notes as well.
Yeah. And then one of the other big things that we wanted to touch on this past year that was created was the NFT compression. And I think, Nick, you know a lot about how this all works. So why don't you touch upon it?
It's been a crazy year in the Solana ecosystem, and one of the big innovations that happened was state compression. We've got compressed NFTs, we've got state compression. It's been live on mainnet for almost the entire year now, and if you don't already know, compressed NFTs significantly reduce the cost of creating NFTs on Solana. You still get the full security and validation through consensus of minting NFTs and everything, but it drastically reduces the cost. You can check out compress.app and you can actually kind of tinker with some of the parameters to figure out the differences in like costs and whatnot. And it's been one of my most favorite things that has happened in the ecosystem this year.
Yeah, I really hope that in the new year, 2024, we see more use cases of generalized state
Oh
compression,
yeah,
uh, because that's like the new frontier that you or the next level on top of this. Looking forward to that.
yeah. Do you have any interesting things that you thought were your favorite for the year?
Yeah, so there was a guy named Kevin. He created something called BankRun. So what
Oh
this is a
yeah.
testing framework. It allows you. So for people that don't know, whenever you're writing tests for, say, Anchor, a lot of the tests that were previously done were using Mocha test. So you're actually sending basically API calls to a test validator that you spin up. And it's very slow because you have to wait for the test validator to spin up. You have to go through all the API calls. You have to receive the responses. It takes a while. So BankRun, what it does is it actually just uses a bank from a Solana test validator. So you don't actually have to spin up the full test validator, and you can test out your transactions on your programs. So this dramatically improves the speeds that you can run tests and try out your different instructions on your program. So you see, I think it's like a 10x decrease of time taken per test. So this is really great for Solana development. It gets us iterating a lot faster. And it was so great that I think web3.js, the JavaScript library that everybody uses to develop on Solana, switched all of their tests to BankRun, which is funny, from the original like Mocha test they had. So this is one of my
Lovely.
favorite ones that I saw this past year. What did you see this past year, Nick?
I think one of the other things I thought was really cool was the sign in with Solana spec. I was actually tinkering with this the other day, building an application, and it's actually a really nice user experience. It takes the typical concept of sign a message to actually authenticate and prove that you own a wallet. That way you can log into some sort of service or DApp or whatever. And the sign in with Solana spec takes that to the next level. It basically creates a standard for the data that the user is going to sign, and because it has this standard, it has things like the domain name, a standard message, and some configurable parameters. But because there's a data standard, it makes it so wallets can actually display a really nice user interface for the users. And then it can also remove a couple of clicks, couple of friction points for a lot of applications and users. So it was really cool to experience it. Like, you can test it out in Drip. Drip has it live. They've had it live since I think day one of signing with Solana. And I don't know, it's just like a really cool spec, and easing some developer UX and user friction points across the ecosystem.
That's awesome. Yeah, anything that can make user experience better on Solana and make it
Bullish on
easier
it.
to, yeah, easier to build on Solana, completely bullish on it. So that wraps up our changelog for this week. We hope to see
And the
y'all in the
change
new
log for the
year
year.
in the changelog for the year. So we hope to see y'all in the new year and see what we can build in the new year on 2024. So thank y'all for joining us, and we will see you next year.
All right. Bye bye.